Hi, my name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a relationship expert. This video is entitled Becoming Your Age: Adult Children of Dysfunctional Families. So what do I mean by that when I say becoming your age? This video is about maturing ourselves. And as adult children, we have not matured or grown up inside in many ways. The concept of living your age is one I have used to help clients work on self-differentiation and to do some growing up inside. This growing up really does enhance more inner stability, less reactivity, and better relationships. Now again, it's the road less traveled. For many people, they believe the feeling like a child inside, and I don't mean dealing with your inner child, I mean feeling kind of childish inside, and living and behaving immaturely is just something we have to live with for the rest of our lives, and not much we can do about that. And they feel rather stuck in that. I want to tell you, you don't have to remain stuck in that. After we have discovered we are adult children, and after we have done some important steps towards recovery, after we've read the many books and learned a little more about our family of origin, it's important that we begin a process of living or acting our age. Well, you might ask, well, Jerry, what do you mean by that, living your age? Don't I live my age every day? Not often emotionally. Certainly our bodies reflect our age, but our inner emotional life doesn't reflect our age. And for the adult children of dysfunctional families, this is not the case. And let me explain. Here are some emotions and behaviors which do not belong in adulthood, in healthy, mature adulthood. When we develop as children, growing into adulthood, our body develops ahead of our mind is ahead of our emotions, and that our emotions lag back as we develop. And that's something we should always remember about the children that we're raising. Remember, they look older than they're able to be emotionally because their body matures first, then their mind, then their emotions. That's why the 2-year-old can go mess with the TV, understand that you said don't touch the TV, but then they go and touch the TV, even though that means they will get in trouble, because their emotions do not allow them to restrain themselves. Their mind knows what's right, their body knows what's right, but their emotions doesn't allow them to do it, because their emotions, they have infant emotions in a 2-year-old body. And again, your emotions are about one stage behind as we develop and grow up as people. Well, for adult children, we find ourselves trapped with non-mature, developed emotional life. And so we can be 45 years old and act and feel like we're 15, 8, 20 at times. And those of you who've experienced that knows how that feels. We just don't feel grown up inside. And we see other people who seem more self-confident, stronger, more calm, more at ease, more in control of themselves, and maybe act and behave more maturely at their age. And we look at that and go, now why can't I do that? For example, and this is a classic example that we all have experienced, when we go home for the holidays or interact with our parents, we don't feel quite equal. We feel we cannot cross them, or we can't get too upset, or we get too upset with them. And we don't see our parents as Fred, Bill, Sandra, and Levon. We see them and feel them as capital Father, capital Mother, versus brothers and sisters to us as human beings. Because when we become adults, our parents are equal to us. They're not unequal to us. And that's a part of our immaturity that we learn, and so we kind of stay in that childish, childlike kind of emotional space. Rather than dealing with our parents as adults, we deal with them as their children. And that even gets more stressed if you grow up in a dysfunctional family. Or another example, you see someone that you've known long ago that there was some beef or conflict you had with them, and then you avoid them, walk on the other side of the street, and many times feel ashamed or embarrassed. That's not living your age. That's living another age, is what that is. And those behaviors are from another time and another age. In other words, we find ourselves acting and feeling very immaturely. Sometimes we call it reacting in a non-situational appropriate way. Our reactions are situationally inappropriate. And that's some of our non-mature, non-acting and feeling our age kind of behavior and experience. In other words, it's not appropriate for the situation. Those who are mature, or who act mature, or who act their age, respond and react appropriate to the situation. Here are some other behaviors that indicate not acting our age or feeling our age emotionally in terms of our own emotional life, or what I call the emotional field. Overreactivity, falling back into roles, particularly family roles, feeling childish inside, acting childish with others. Now, by the way, I'm not talking about being childlike, and I'm not talking about not having fun, and I'm not talking about having a healthy inner child. I don't mean that. I mean the more immature side of this. Living reactively to guilt or shame. The inability to soothe or calm ourselves. We often will sometimes act out rather than soothing or calming ourselves, or will slip in our immaturity and do something that's not appropriate for the situation because we can't calm ourselves. Staying in a scripted role with your significant other. In other words, I can't get out of that. I just have to live the way they think I am, and I can't be any different than that. And we feel stuck in that. Emotional triangles are a part of not living your age. If people are mature and live a healthy emotional age, they often don't get into triangles. They also avoid emotional cutoffs. They don't have to cut off from other people. They handle it in a different way. And as I've said in many videos in the past, the stuck person knows option A and option B. They don't know option C. And option C is, how do I behave in a mature way given this situation? All I know is how to react A or react B. I don't know a C. And C is about living your age and living maturely. Also, immature emotionality includes emotional enmeshment. It's very difficult for us to free ourselves from that magnetism of emotional enmeshment. But if you notice, the people who are mature, if you look at them and watch them and read them, and I do ask people to take a look at the people that they really find are mature and they respect and feel are grown up in their life, whether people they respect or adult heroes in some way, you'll find that they don't fall into the enmeshment. They don't do emotional cutoffs. They don't have to triangulate. And again, they're acting and living their age. The work of self-differentiation is a work of practicing and living your age. Many, many times I have asked clients, well, what would a 45-year-old man do in this situation? Let's say they're dealing with their family of origin and they're all stressed and are not sure what to do. And I would simply ask, what would a 45-year-old man do in this situation? And then they begin to think about, well, what would a mature person do? right now. That's what I need to practice. Now, it's not going to feel right, because what feels right is not living our age, emotionally and behaviorally. That doesn't feel normal or common to us. But actually, if we work at practicing that, it becomes more a part of us, and it becomes easier. If it were not you, how would you see others responding and reacting? Well, how would I talk to my father about this situation? Well, think how your best friend who's most mature would go talk to your father. That might give you a hint as to what you could do to live your age in talking and working with your father. Now, again, here's another struggle, is that your family might have some resistance or some reaction to you living your age, because they have some investment in the system. There's a lot of things that are in place that keep you in place in the immature emotional age that you are and life that you have. So there's going to be some resistance to you being adult-like around people who are not used to you being adult with. Especially imagining others you feel are more mature than you. I have many times asked clients in situations they are unsure about, what would a 38-year-old person your age do in this situation? In other words, we imagine beyond our inner immaturity. Work and act towards this and not the inner maturity. The inner immaturity that we have felt for so long. Again, we're starting to change the practice of working towards what would be living my age versus just continuing to live in this feeling of the inner immaturity and letting it guide all of my decisions. Versus, what would the 8-year-old abandoned child do in this situation? We know what that is very easily, or what the 12-year-old abandoned boy would do in this situation, or the fearful or shameful or guilt. What's helpful, what would the 47-year-old person who's mature, what would they do in this situation? How would they behave, and what would they say? And what would they do? It's difficult to act our age when we have grown up in a dysfunctional family. As I've said many times, mature adults, healthy adults, tend to observe more versus absorbing the emotional field around them. Acting your age, we consciously tip the scale to observe more versus absorb more of the emotional field around us. And in asking the question, what would a person of my age do? I'm kind of learning that what's normal and what would be more normal. And I'm tipping the balance in a more healthy way. And I am realizing that the mature people around me tend to observe things around them rather than just absorb everything that's around them. And again, I think that's a big difference between someone who's self-differentiated and someone who struggles with that. And so there's lots we can do in that area to mature and grow for adult children of dysfunctional families. Well, if you're struggling to grow up as an adult, if you feel immature or you feel undermature, if you struggled with the work of self-differentiation, please send me an email or give me a call. Also, you see my contact information on your screen. I have clients all over the U.S. and in other countries as well. I do provide in-office and online work for folks. I hope you'll please share my videos with your social media. They're free, and we try to provide good information for those who are hurting. I want to thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.